Coming at you from the south side of Chicago, straight out of my mother's basement at my childhood home, I'd like to welcome you all to the Power to Persist. Friends, welcome to the Power to Persist podcast. As I'm recording this episode today, I've spent the last 2 weeks listening to commencement speeches from leaders and educators across the country. And while every speech had a different tone, there was one thing that I kept hearing underneath all of them. A recognition that the world this graduating class is walking into is changing rapidly. Not hopelessness, not fear, but a very real awareness that this generation is stepping into a moment of massive transformation. So today, I want to speak directly to the class of 2026. You did it. The exams are over. The cap and gown pictures are posted. Family and friends are celebrating you. This moment represents years of hard work, sacrifice, discipline, and resilience. But if we're being honest, graduation today comes with both excitement and pressure. Pressure to figure out life quickly. Pressure to justify the cost of college. Pressure to compete in a world changing faster than anyone ever expected. And now, layered on top of all that, is AI, a technology transforming industries almost overnight and making many young people ask a very real question. What happens to my future now? Today, I want to talk directly to Gen Z, the graduates stepping into adulthood during one of the most disruptive and opportunity-filled periods in modern history. But I also want to speak to parents, educators, corporate leaders, and institutions. Because the future of this generation cannot rest on young people figuring it out alone. This moment requires partnership, innovation, adaptability, and most importantly, resilience. The fear is real, but so is the opportunity. As I watched those commencement speeches, something stood out to me. The moment some speakers mentioned AI, the crowd booed. And honestly, I understand it. For many graduates, AI does not feel exciting, it feels threatening. Students are asking, will my job exist in 5 years? Did I spend thousands of dollars preparing for a career that technology may replace? Was my degree worth it? Friends, those are fair questions. But here is what I want young people to understand. Every generation faces disruption. Previous generations faced industrial revolutions, recessions, globalization, and even the rise of the internet. This is your disruption moment. And disruption does not just eliminate opportunity, it also creates it. The people who thrive in the next decade will not necessarily be the people with the perfect major. They will be the people who know how to adapt, people who know how to think critically, communicate effectively, build relationships, solve problems, and navigate uncertainty. Those are deeply human skills. Skills matter now more than ever. You know, life has a funny way of testing us right when we think we have it all figured out. Those moments remind us that resilience is not about never failing. That's what the Power to Persist is all about. 8 simple habits to help you stay grounded, strong, and focused when life gets a little heavy. I'd be honored if you came along on this journey with me. Visit LamellMcMorris.com to get your copy of The Power to Persist and listen to the Power to Persist podcast so we can continue to persist together. And now, to another topic. Let me pause there for a moment because I think this next part really matters. There has been a growing narrative that liberal arts degrees are no longer valuable. I disagree. Now, does higher education need to evolve? Absolutely. But let us not confuse evolution with irrelevance. A liberal arts education teaches students how to analyze, how to understand culture, ethics, history, human behavior, and systems. AI can process information, but it cannot replace wisdom. It cannot replace emotional intelligence. It cannot replace human connection. In leadership, those things matter. The future workforce will need people who can bridge technology with humanity. The companies that win in the future will not just be technologically advanced, they will be culturally intelligent. They will need leaders who understand people. So the question is not whether liberal arts matters. The question is, how do we better connect education to opportunity? How do we ensure students can see a direct pathway between what they are learning and how they can build sustainable careers? That is where institutions and corporations must step up together. I believe corporate America has a tremendous opportunity. We need a stronger bridge between college campuses and the workforce. Too many students graduate with degrees but without exposure, networks, or practical experience. And meanwhile, companies continue saying they cannot find qualified talent. That disconnect should not exist. Corporate America has a role to play here. Not performative engagement, but real engagement. Mentorship programs, internships, apprenticeships, innovation labs, guest lecturers, leadership development pipelines. And honestly, there are entire industries right now with massive leadership gaps emerging over the next decade. Energy, infrastructure, manufacturing, logistics, public service. Some of these industries may not always feel flashy or sexy to young people, but they are growing rapidly and will need thousands of new leaders in the years ahead. Students should not have to wait until senior year to understand how industries actually operate. And corporations should not wait until graduation season to start investing in talent. If companies want resilient leaders in the future, they need to help build them now. Resilience is not developed overnight. It is developed through exposure, through guidance, and through opportunity. Graduates, your career may not be linear, and that is okay. One of the greatest misconceptions young people have today is believing they need to have their entire life figured out immediately after graduation. You do not. Your career may pivot multiple times. Mine surely did. There were moments in my own journey where the path I thought I would take completely changed. But looking back, some of the greatest growth opportunities in my life came from seasons I did not plan for. Industries will evolve. Jobs that exist today may disappear. Jobs that will define the next decade may not even exist yet. That is the reality of today. I often tell people, stop obsessing over having a perfect path and focus instead on building durable habits. I'll talk about this throughout my book, The Power to Persist. Can you stay disciplined when things get uncertain? Can you remain curious? Can you continue learning? Can you adapt and bend without breaking? Can you persist when life does not move according to your timeline? Those are the habits that sustain long-term success. And let me say this clearly to every graduate listening. Your first job does not define your entire future. Your setbacks do not disqualify you. Your uncertainty does not mean you are behind. You are entering adulthood during a period of massive transformation. Give yourself permission to grow through it. I truly believe that the future belongs to people who can combine innovation with humanity. People who understand technology, but also understand people. People who know how to lead during uncertainty. People who can bring calm into chaos. People who know how to persist. That is your advantage. Your willingness to keep growing, your own dogged determination, your willingness to continue to show up even when the future feels unclear. That is resilience, my friends. And resilience will always be relevant. To every graduate listening today, your story is still being written. Do not let fear convince you that opportunity no longer exists. The world is changing, yes, but your generation also has the opportunity to redefine leadership, redefine innovation, and redefine what meaningful work looks like. Your degree is not the finish line. It is a foundation. The future will belong to people who are willing to evolve with integrity, courage, and persistence. So friends, keep learning, keep building, keep adapting. And most importantly, keep believing that your voice, your gifts, and your leadership still matter. Because they do. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Power to Persist podcast. And remember, persistence is not about pretending the road is easy. It's about refusing to stop moving forward. Let us continue to persist together. See you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening so you stay in the know about future episodes. See you next time, my friends.
Resonate.